It's time for the debut of Palm versus the Prince. We will debate, Palm and the Prince will debate, and we will judge. We will grade. Okay, let's start it up. And we're going to start with you, Amal Shah. Who will be the first coach fired in the NFL?
Frank Reich, Carolina Panthers. David Tepper's the owner there, former hedge fund guy, very short patience, short leash. And I think the way this team has performed, it's not that we're expected to make the postseason, but they're in a bad division with no quarterback play. I think this is going to be a potential change coming here. And remember the comments, Patrick, we talked about? He goes, well, I don't really like to talk to the owner along those lines. I just think it's a bad situation right now in Carolina.
I disagree, Amal. I'm going to say Brandon Staley with the Los Angeles Chargers. I'm going to say because of expectations, all right? And you mentioned expectations. I get that Tepper has a shorter string here. But what has Staley done with Justin Herbert other than waste his career? 21-20 with Herbert, no playoff wins. Anthony Lynn had a better record and won a playoff game with the Chargers. This guy's brought in as a defensive genius, and his defenses cannot contain teams. They blow leads every week, and his fourth down decision-making and game management are second to none, is the worst in the league.
Spanos are too cheap to eat the contract of Brandon Staley.
Ooh, a retort. That is a first ever, Palm versus the Prince, although it was the first question ever. All right, next question. Over, under. We're going to set the total at 8.5 teams, Mike Palm, that can win the Super Bowl this year.
Way under. Way under. I've got 5 on my list. San Francisco, Philadelphia, Kansas City, Baltimore, and Cincinnati. The ifs, if I give you the ifs, Cleveland, Miami, Detroit. That's ifs, iffy range. Fringe element to me. I don't think it's close. I wouldn't include anybody else on that list. Amal, if you can find 9, I'll give you credit.
I don't have 9. I've got 8. I've got the 5 you have, and I've got 2 of the 3 that you mentioned. Mentioned it, Philadelphia, San Francisco. I think we're in complete agreement there, all of us here on the set. And then you go to the AFC, Kansas City, of course. Let's go to the AFC East very quickly. I think if Buffalo and Miami play their A games, they're capable of beating anybody. For Miami, it's got to be perfect weather conditions, potentially home games in South Florida. If you have to go on the road, whether it's in any weather or else, Baltimore, Cincinnati, Cleveland, Kansas City, or Buffalo, it could be a real challenge because of the weather. I still think Buffalo is very capable, even though they haven't been consistent. And then on the flip side, I would throw in the AFC North, Baltimore, Cincinnati. Guys, I'm going to throw in Cleveland because of the fact that Jerome Ford's done a nice job at the tailback position. I know Deshaun Watson's been a train wreck. If you think about it from this perspective, this team has got nothing out of Deshaun Watson. If there's somewhat of an elevation in his performance along the way, I think that just absolutely propels this team. The defense, in my opinion, right now is not elite. It's the best defense in the National Football League. I know they gave up 38 points on Sunday. You have outliers. You have bad games. I don't believe the Detroit Lions can win the Super Bowl. I think they're a team that potentially could get there. Dustin was very specific and win. I'm going to go with the under on 8 here.
Okay, if the rumors are proven true, Amal Shah, you're up. Should Michigan get the death penalty?
No, the death penalty is not in line with what's transpired here. I think there should be some sort of punishment here that fits the crime. Maybe a postseason bowl ban. Because the one thing you look at, Michigan's record, since this alleged incident happened, starting in the 2021 season, Michigan has been rolling 33-3 since that point in time. Obviously bodes well for what the Wolverines have been able to do. And you look at the teams that they've been scouting. Georgia, some of the other opponents that you could face off in the college football playoff, Ohio State among TCU as well. So I think there has to be some severity to it if you want to send a message. And here's the thing. I'm not saying this is a justification for the punishment, but you should really punish Harbaugh and have him wind up with a 3-year show cause. Let him go to the National Football League. Let Michigan wash their hands of him. And then don't punish the program at that level because of what the coach did.
Well, the question is kind of ludicrous to me. I mean, do you think it's unethical for someone to watch another team play?
No.
Do you think the NCAA is consistent in its enforcement of policies?
No, but I don't think most judges and juries are.
I think there's no moral high ground here at all to enforce this. I think it's ludicrous. A bunch of guys sitting in a room that even wrote this rule because ADs don't want to spend money sending people going and scouting, so they come up with this farcical rule. Let's call this what it is. They hate Jim Harbaugh. They're looking for a reason to get rid of Harbaugh. If they do something, it's probably going to be what Amal says, to try to drive Harbaugh out. But to punish the program, I think, is not reasonable.
Palm asking his opponent questions. That is unprecedented. Who is the best team, Mike Palm, in the Pac-12?
Well, I don't think this is close. I think it's the Oregon Ducks. Dan Lanning completely mismanaged that game at Husky Stadium. They're the better team defensively. It's probably second best defensive team in the conference to Utah. Utah does not have a quarterback and won't have a quarterback for the rest of the year. You could almost make the argument that right now Arizona is the second best team. I think this team is very dangerous. But to me, clearly, Oregon, the most balanced and best team in the Pac-12.
He took my answer, Patrick. You guys know where I come out on this one. I'm hoping for a Ducks-Huskies rematch. Let's come in and unload the clip on Oregon. They're the better football team. I'm telling you right now, I bet this morning Bo Nix at 12-1 to win the Heisman. He is going to win the Heisman. I looked at his numbers. The biggest threat is not Michael Penix. The biggest threat is J.J. McCarthy. J.J. McCarthy, 18 touchdowns, 3 INTs, all 3 against Bowling Green. Bo Nix has thrown 1 interception. This guy's been absolutely elite. I don't even understand because they didn't get 3 yards. We're not talking about Bo Nix. He's been the best player, the most outstanding player in college football this year. I agree with Mike for almost everything he said. Bryson Barnes is a better quarterback than he gets credit for Utah. It's always tough going on the road to Rice-Eccles, but a road win here by Oregon. And if Bo Nix throws for 250 and 2 touchdowns, no turnovers, I think he's got to be in that conversation with J.J. McCarthy and Michael Penix.
Amal Shah, who would you rather have lead your program, James Franklin or Lincoln Riley?
I'd rather just have the prisoners running the asylum. I mean, neither of these guys, but I'll go with Lincoln Riley for the purpose of this question. James Franklin has proven he can't win the big game. Look at his record against Ohio State and Michigan. This guy has continuously struggled. He's been 1-10 now against AP top 5 teams during his tenure. He's just not a guy that can get it done. You know what? We exactly knew. Remember when the Penn State season win total was set at 9.5, guys, before the season started, Patrick? We talked about this in August. They're going to win 10 games. They're going to lose to Ohio State. They're going to lose to Michigan. They look non-competitive against the Buckeyes only because Ohio State arguably has their worst or most inept offense in years. They still have a very good defense in State College. The offensive line, the running game did not show out the way it was anticipated this year. Lots of work to be done. Lincoln's had some success at least. He's gotten to the college football playoff. He just doesn't believe in playing defense. He thinks it's like when you're a kid, it's make it, take it, and you keep the ball.
I agree with Amal Shah. James Franklin can't win the game to get you to the game. Lincoln loses. Lincoln's 72-15. He's only lost 5 games by double digits. 3 straight playoff appearances at Oklahoma. Remember the double overtime loss in the Rose Bowl to Georgia. Yep. They get beat by Alabama in the Orange Bowl 45-34. LSU did dominate them in the Peach Bowl that year, but they dominated Clemson in the championship game. Close loss at Utah, then they got pounded by Utah. 5 turnovers, Notre Dame. He's going to keep you in every game. His offense is going to perform. Franklin just can't do it against any kind of competition that is near his level.
First of all, just on
Is Kirk Cousins, quickly, Mike Palm, is Kirk Cousins top 10 quarterback?
QBR says he's 12th. Let's try to argue. Amal, let's debate this together. Would you concede that Mahomes, Allen, Tua, Goff, Herbert, Lamar, and Hurts are all better than him?
Yes.
Okay, now here's the question. Is Purdy better than him?
No.
Is Prescott better than him?
No.
Is Geno better than him?
No.
Is Lawrence better than him?
Yes.
Is Stafford better than him?
Yes.
Is C.J. Stroud better than him?
Can't put that yet. Doesn't have enough body of
work. All right,
work.
then he's top 10.
No, I don't disagree with this. I think he is top 10. I actually, Patrick, look, my criticism of Kirk Cousins comes from the contract that he was given based on performance, and he didn't warrant it at that point in time. But when you look at his consistency and what Justin Jefferson's been able to do during his tenure in Minnesota, a lot of that credit has to go to Kirk Cousins along the way. There's other quarterbacks with elite receivers that are not putting up comparable stats.
Okay. Amal Shah, this is the last question. What's the best candy you can get trick-or-treating?
Reese's Pieces or peanut M&Ms. I'm sorry, I'm going 2. I apologize.
Okay.
Okay,
Mike?
He'll take peanut M&Ms. I'll take Reese's Pieces. A lot of people have allergies to nuts. I think that discounts a lot of the country for them all. I think my answer appeals to a broader audience. Let me ask you this. I want to go back. It's over, but I want to go back because we agreed on the under 8.5. I have Miami there. You have Buffalo. Buffalo couldn't do it when they were 13 seconds away with a superior team against Kansas City with a superior team than they had now. Buffalo couldn't get it done at home against Cincinnati with a team that's better than the one they have now. I don't have any faith that Buffalo can win the Super Bowl this year.
I don't disagree with you. I still think the talent is there, though, when you've got a number 1 quarterback and a number 1 receiver. The one thing that I would point with Buffalo is that I look at the AFC minus Kansas City. I don't think any team is better than they were in the past. I think the Cincinnati team is worse than they were. I think Baltimore's solid, but not as good as what
I think Baltimore's better. And I think Baltimore, what we saw against Detroit was something pretty amazing, that healthy Baltimore team. I understand against the NFC and you haven't prepared for Lamar, it's very difficult. But they looked like they were playing a JUCO team out there on Sunday. And Detroit's a very good team.
Inaugural Palm versus Prince. Dustin Sweetelson, the grading. I I had it 3-3 with one push. The push was on Death Penalty, Michigan.
I also have it 3-3 with one push. Amal didn't even pick the best M&M product, and Mike didn't even pick the best Reese's product. It's a tie for me.
I never tried the peanut butter M&Ms.
I meant to bring them for you, but I ate them.
Great job.
Go to VSiN.com/subscribe to become a VSiN Pro subscriber today.